Hello, everybody, and welcome to Take Your Time, Persona podcast, where we play through Persona 3 Reload in real time, along with the in-game calendar dates. My name is Tom Marks, joined as always by Jonathan Dornbush. Jonathan, how are you?
Tom.
Hello.
We're there.
we're there.
We're in these days of this game. Not at the full moon just yet, but we're there. I'm getting excited.
This is the last. I mean, we're playing at the pretense of I don't know what's going to happen, which is correct. I don't know what's going to happen, but also we're at the end of the game. Like, this, all signs point to the game is gonna end very soon.
I don't know, man. Who's to say?
Anyway, we're getting there. This is the last week of free time before what is ostensibly the finale, but also, they've said that before, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. And we've got a little bit to talk about. There's some just bonkers story stuff that happens this week still, even though it's another slow week, so we have that to talk about. And yeah, it's an exciting one. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited.
Good. You should be.
Before we get into everything, we've got a few things to do. First, let's do our confidant call out, where we thank the people who are backing us at patreon.com/takeyourtime at the Palace Ruler tier. Very, very much appreciate your support. And those folk are Akechi is a Jelly Bean, Bob and Tim 64, Brody S, Cameron C, Claudia R, Dallas, Damon, Dan, Danimal Lover 01, Default Titus, Dexter, Caitlin E, Keegan H, Mad Attack, Metaphor, Michael V, P King, Programmer Sid, Sam K, Sarah M, Shade, Something Witty, Willie Wang Wang, and Zachary L. Thank you so much to everybody. And even if you are supporting at a lower tier or not financially supporting on Patreon at all, we really, really appreciate you tuning in, listening, commenting, doing whatever. We just thank you for being on this very silly journey with us. We appreciate it. Before we dive into the pop quiz and some comments from folk on the Patreon, we did want to talk about if this was like a YouTuber like video, like drama video or whatever, there'd be like a thumbnail where like we're looking sad and be like the future of the show with no other description.
Yeah.
No. So to get right to it, show's coming towards an end, right? This season is coming towards an end. Our plan, and this is very slight spoilers, we just want to talk about sort of how the end of this is all going to be looking, and especially for folk who are supporting on Patreon, because the show is wrapping up, or this season's wrapping up, and basically we know, again, very slight spoilers date-wise if you are following along fresh, but we know that the actual last in-game day is on March 4th. And we plan to have a proper finale episode on March 4th. That will be the last episode of this season of Take Your Time. And then we won't be doing regular episodes anymore after that. However, we will be coming back for epilogue, not bonus episode. It's not going to be exclusive to Patreon, just like an extra episode, a final episode on March 3rd. They'll go live on March 31st. Which will be all about episode Igus, which is the DLC. That DLC, for people who don't know, and again, very slight spoilers in the like mechanical sense of this. That game is, or that DLC is like 30 hours long or something like that.
It can be
substantial,
pretty timely. Yeah,
it's
not a small investment.
Yeah, and it takes place entirely on that one day in game. So there's no way we can do like the normal way we do this show all on that day. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to be playing that DLC kind of in the lead up to March 31st after the game has ended. And then on the 31st, we'll post an episode, probably a little bit longer of an episode since it's a big thing, discussing that DLC specifically and our thoughts on it and how it relates to the game and all of that sort of stuff. So that's how it's going to look. There might be some episodes in the next few weeks after this quote-unquote final confrontation, whatever that is, and then between that and March 4th, where we're going to be doing some other stuff. We'll talk about some of the, the confidant max ranks we haven't talked about yet. We'll talk about some other things. If people have comments or ideas that they would like us to talk about, please leave comments. We would love to hear what you want to hear from us in terms of like filling that gap a little bit, because we do want to continue producing episodes. But that brings me to the final point of all of this, which is because the show is going to be pausing this season is going to be ending. The show is going to be pausing on March 4th. We are going to be pausing the Patreon as well at that point. So February will be the last month that we do bonus episodes, and it'll be the last month that we are actively running the Patreon for a little bit at least. Our current plan is that, like we did with P5 Royal in the first season of Take Your Time, we need a bit of a break. This show running for a year long is very fun, but it is also just, it consumes weeknights and it consumes a lot of free time to be able to do the show in this silly format, which we love doing, but we once again after this season need a little bit of break. And so we're going to be not doing another season of the show immediately, because that would start in April or whatever if we did P4 or what have you. And so right now, for the foreseeable future, we don't have plans to do more. We did the Strikers bonus season. There's nothing's off the table, but at least right now we do not have plans to continue making content in any sort of regular fashion or around any sort of specific game, and we don't feel comfortable taking your money while we try and figure it out or decide not to continue or whatever I end up doing. So yeah, we're going to be pausing the Patreon after that once the show sort of wraps up properly and we stop doing these regular episodes. Hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, you know where to find us. If you have any questions about any of this, please let us know. We don't want anyone to feel burned in any of this, but that's our plans currently going forward for Take Your Time.
Yeah. And
Jonathan, anything to add?
No, just to reiterate what you said earlier, and also kind of what we say every week, just so that I think people really understand that we do mean it. When we do say thank you to everyone who is supporting us over on the Patreon for making this show happen, we do mean it. The fact that you all came out and supported us, as Tom said, this is not a small investment on our side for time, given that it's not our full-time jobs and life and family and work and all those things. And so to have seen the support that you all brought to us really did mean so much, and has been such a driving force for us wanting to continue out with this season. We really, really appreciate it. And as Tom said, it's always one of those things where it's we never say never. We will, who knows when the mood will strike, but we don't have plans for long-term consistent use of this channel and this avenue. And we obviously want to make sure we are respecting that audience that showed us all that love. So yeah.
Yeah. So bit of a bittersweet sort of thing to start the show on, but we wanted to make sure we got that out before we hit the finale, since next week is, or the final fight, whatever it is. Before then, because that's going to be a busier one, and then we'll have more to talk about kind of going into February as well. But for now, that's the plan. Getting into later news again, we have a pop quiz from last week that we would let's do that. So I asked, when you get to max rank 10 with the Nyx Annihilation team? Squad? I can never remember.
I believe it's team.
I think it's team.
Yeah.
You get a persona that you can fuse. And I said, what is the name of that persona? And it's also a recognizable name. And did we get any guesses, Jonathan?
Yeah, his name is Charles.
Charles, correct.
Charles the persona. That's actually his full name.
Charles, the persona.
The persona, yeah.
The persona, capital
T, the persona. Yeah. No, Bob and Tim 64, as well as Mark, both mentioned, I believe, the correct answer, which is that it unlocks the Messiah as the ultimate persona in the
correct.
Arcana. Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting that this happens at the same time as everyone is calling Takaya the Messiah, because everyone is calling him Messiah and Savior and all this stuff. And then at the same time, the power of friendship with your team is the true Messiah.
The Messiah was the friends we made along the way. I'm sure every religious class would love that if that's what you answered. Who was the Messiah?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cute. No, I a little bit of spoilers, but I started going back into Tartarus this week and was really trying to get all those late game persona, just because it feels fun to kind of capitalize on those final ones.
Sure. Yeah. That's that. Do we have any other comments you'd like to call out?
Maybe just a small one or two. Actually, I forgot to ask you this ahead of time, so I apologize in advance, but I looked it up. Sarah over at the Patreon asked, just because I think it's an interesting factor, we can obviously have a more finite one later on, but how many hours are you into your game run right now?
Oh, I'll look it up for next week.
Okay.
Farther than I thought.
Yeah.
I think the way I play this game with, I don't know, but the same thing is happening to me. I still haven't beaten Metaphor, and the same thing's happening to me with Metaphor, where like, I think I'm on like the 70 something hour mark with that game, and people were like, it's only 70 hours long. And I was looking at my playtime and then how much I had left in it, and I was like, well, either this is going to wrap up immediately, or,
I've
or
been
I'm playing it slower
slowly.
than normal.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
at about 60 hours where I'm at, and we discussed that beforehand. And even my another friend who beat the game was like, "You're at 60? Like, what are you doing?" And to be fair, I am just skateboarding around.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So
but
this one I think is similar. I think I'm higher than the average bear in this, but I'll look up exactly. I think it's like 70 or 80 or something
Okay.
right now.
That's not bad. I'm at, I think it was 71 when I looked. I am playing a little bit more quickly this time just because I know what I'm doing, but I also realized I'm not playing that much more quickly because I pause a lot to take notes, and that takes time. So
yeah.
factor that in. My original playthrough, for what it's worth, took, I believe, a little over 95 hours. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in the 80s.
Okay,
But I'll confirm next week.
cool.
Get back to you.
Just was curious. And then yeah, I think that's it for now. There's a couple other comments that I think will work as we go through the week. So why don't we hit it?
Brilliant. Let's jump into it. The weeks, I forgot to say, dates are January 19th to the 25th. So, and then next week, again, we're going to be doing the 26th through the 31st, with the 31st being whatever, or yeah, the 31st being whatever the full moon is. Is it 30th or 31st?
It's the 31st. It is
Okay.
the last day of the month.
Right. Yes. So we're going to be doing all of that. But for now, 19th to the 25th, a mix of free time and wild, insane story reveals, sort of like the last week was.
Ain't that the way it has to be at this point?
So the 19th, yeah, the 19th starts with some girls talking in class or in school about how maybe apathy syndrome is good, actually, because they're basically just talking about like, oh man, you don't have to do anything, and maybe we should just all give in.
Sure, why not? I mean, at this point, it is, I would say, very true to life in the sense that, yeah, there would probably be people feeling that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and especially because as they talk about it, like people are taking it seriously in a big way. The end of the world, sort of. It's a fad that they're following.
Yeah. That's weird.
What did you do during the day and night though? Because we have just a free time period.
I got Aegis to rank 8. And then in the evening, I did a Ken hangout on the roof.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did the Ken hangout too.
Nice.
And so we had a synchronous-ish day because I got Agus to rank 3. I hadn't gotten her to that yet. You got Agus to 8 already?
Yeah.
I skipped a lot of days with her. I thought I had only skipped like a couple times to hang out with her, but
Well, to be fair, last time you were trying to get a few others that you were close to the end with, whereas this is the only person I can hang out with.
right.
So, different priorities.
Well, I got Agus to 3,
Nice.
and then I also did this little chat with Ken, which is fun. It's his final one, right? It's sort of a repetitious with the last one, but in a very cute way. Because he challenges you to spar on the roof again. This time all of the boys are watching you as you fight, egging him on and wanting him to beat you. And he doesn't, but he does get a good hit in while you're distracted. And then they say, yep, we're 1-1. This was totally fair.
Well, I do love that even he is like, that shouldn't really count. But all the other guys, I love that Akihiko's like, no, you found your moment and you took it. And it's like, yeah, but all right, we'll give it to him. He's 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice little scene where of him just trying hard and showing some growth, right? And yeah, it's a nice way to cap off that story. Sort of, again, similar to who were we talking about? Junpei last week, of like, it's not the end of his story. It's not some like he's already amazing. It's him continuing on. He is in progress in a very nice way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you don't get the sense like Ken is healed of all his trauma and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And the item he gives you is the key to his mom's old house, which is so heavy.
So I have a little bit of problem with this, and maybe this speaks more about me, but I'm like, I don't know if I have just a friend out there who I would give like probably my most prized possession.
Yeah, well, this is the thing is I max ranked Yukari this week, spoilers, but
yeah,
she similarly gives you an item that is deeply close and personal to her dead parent, and you're like, whoa, like this
it's like, don't get me...
Akihiko gave me hand wraps.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate obviously what it is implying, and sure, you probably do get close enough to some people to want to give them things like that, but to me, I'm just kind of like, especially speaking as someone who has lost their parents, there are certain things that I'm like, I'm keeping because this is my last vestige of a person I love. Yeah. And so, but obviously then you can take it to the extent that, wow, that must speak volumes to how much the protagonist has impacted these characters, obviously.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that there is that balance there. It just struck me. It's just so funny, the disparity of like, Junpei gives you a baseball glove.
Yeah.
And then Ken gives you this memento of his old life after his parents died. And you're like, wow, okay, man, that's really deep. Thank you. I'll put it next to my baseball glove.
I can still remember the day I walked out that door for the last time alone. And then Junpei's over here like, I caught a ball with this.
It's like, no, it's not even that. He bought it new for you.
Okay.
It was, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it's not like a sentimental glove. It's literally just so you can play catch.
Yeah. I mean,
so
to be fair,
he can train his arms back. That's it.
It's pretty Junpei. So yeah,
it is.
But anyway, it's very sweet. I'm not faulting it, but
yes, for sure. But that's the 19th. So let's go on to the 20th. I think this is just a
straight old day.
It's just a straight day.
I hung out with Aegis and got her to rank 9.
Nice.
Chugging along. And then I completed Tartarus this evening.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
We both did Tartarus trips this week then.
Nice.
Did you do the whole shebang with the monad passage and everything?
So
and
I have the final
Reaper?
monad passage left because basically what I know I need to do for my trophies is I do still need to go back and defeat the Reaper and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in. It honestly might not even happen before next week. This might be like I go back in on another save like after we beat it just because of time. But I'm going to go in and make sure from this standpoint where I took an extra save, kill the Reaper, get all the persona I want, make sure I've done all the quests for
makes sense
for Elizabeth, and do all that. But everything but the monad door has been done.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So this day I did Yukari to rank 9.
Nice.
I turned her down. Somebody mentioned that she makes you feel bad about it.
Dexter, I think, said
last week. She's definitely it's one of the ones, light spoilers, but we're at the end of this game at this point. It's definitely one of the ones where you can very much tell that she's full crushing on you.
Yeah.
And you saying no does not mean she doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Like there are some other people where if you say no, they just sort of the game pretends like you were always just going to be friends and it sort of just moves on. This was not one of those.
No, which is, it's impressive that it does it enough with those where it's harder to tell given that the original game was just romance. But this one, I remember doing it. My first run is tough. I was going to ask, do you feel like the game sets up a canon romance?
Oh.
Not that I think there's a right answer. I'm just curious if you felt like there is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely leans you towards Yukari. With the like hug on the beach and the thing in the bad ending of her seemingly having a crush on you or Junpei teasing her about that. I think there's things that lean that way, but I don't think it is trying to push you down any path.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. I was just curious your read at this point. I would largely agree that feels like the inclination, but is not. I do know that there are people who feel very strongly about another character.
Is it the robot?
Who we are maybe still talking to? Yeah. But Other than that, I do feel like if you romance any of the other girls, the game is not necessarily pushing you in that direction. So yeah, I was just curious.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I did Ricardia 9, and then I took a note of there's a lovely little thing where you're walking around the dorm. Everyone is super hyped about Koromaru and about feeding him good dog food so that he'll get big and strong so that he can survive this fight. And so they're all just circled around him and pampering him.
It's very sweet, and he's so happy.
Yeah.
It's a really adorable scene, and it's such a nice little, like, again, you can totally miss that, but man, is that such a rewarding scene to see the group all together and happy around this thing in this moment. Yeah.
And then I did the dating site for Yukari because I, again, just don't want to miss any of these moments.
That's fair. Yeah.
21st. So this is where some stuff happens. Is that a good way of putting it? Some stuff happens today.
You tell me, Tom. What happened?
Does this change depending on your choices?
You tell me.
I am so curious now.
Anyway, what was your day?
So my day was that Mitsuru comes to you guys while you're in the school, in your classroom, and says, hey, I need to talk to you alone in the student council room all of a sudden. And this is my favorite part of this. We can make fun of this a little bit before we start actually talking about it. Mitsuru says, and I wrote this down as a quote because I needed to say it, do you remember Chidori, the girl who was with Strega? Yeah. Yes.
Who?
Yes.
Sorry.
That was like a month ago, Mitsuru.
Chica? What is the name? I don't understand. Chikorita, the Pokemon? I'm sorry, you're going to have to...
It was this whole moment. Junpei died. I remember her.
I mean, for me, that line, because spoilers, I didn't have this scene today, but I have seen this scene.
Wait. What?
I believe this is dependent on finishing the Junpei scene.
Yo, really?
So, actually pointing to this, and Francis is correct, he said, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I think Jonathan did not get the Junpei scene because he missed the flower scene with Junpei earlier when Chidori was still alive. It won't affect my quest for a platinum, which I appreciate you checking in on that. But also mentioned that I will likely miss the extra scene this week.
Wow.
So yeah, this is a thing you can miss.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because this is like not a small scene.
Small enough that I didn't see it, but no, I mean, yeah, I have seen it and I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm flabbergasted. I am amazed that this is...
It's really funny before the show when you started talking about like what this week had going on with it. I didn't want to say anything because I wanted to get your reaction to hearing that.
So did you just like hang out with Aigis today?
Yeah, so I max ranked Aigis today.
I was mad about this scene because I'm cutting it so close to the edge with Aigis time that I was like, I don't get a day to hang out today. Okay, so Jonathan, you do not get this scene, but this is not like this is optional? Oh my gosh, this is genuine shock.
I mean, my guess is, so like, here's the thing is with these is every chance I had in the original playthrough I did to get one of these scenes or, get to one of these moments. Obviously this one, as you mentioned, has a scene where you're kind of forced into it. But anytime an exclamation point popped up with someone I knew around town, I would do it. So I do think to some extent, all of the scenes that you have done in the past with other characters to see those stories through, the game kind of expects you to.
Does that mean you didn't get the scene with Mitsuru a million years ago where she talks about Chidori transmogrifying?
I don't think in this playthrough.
Wild.
I could be wrong, but
truly crazy. Okay, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
She says, do you remember Chidori? We roll our eyes at her. She says that there's a chance Chidori could wake up because at some point even though she fully died, she makes it very clear she fully died, she transmogrified all of a sudden, turned into a coffin, and has been in a sort of stasis since then. And then she gets a call from the hospital conveniently and says, oh yeah, she woke up. And she's been asking you how she thinks she should tell Junpei, how you think she should tell Junpei. And then, of course, Junpei overhears you and just walks in and goes, wait, are you saying Chidori is alive? And then runs out the door to go to the hospital. And so you go to the hospital, and she's fully healed? Chidori is just full alive. Just not, like, was dead, is not dead at all. Including the illness, the reason she knew she was going to die, that is also cured, which they never talked about before. She was just like, I've always known the day I'm going to die, but they never actually talked about why she knew that or what the deal with that was. Yeah. This is actually mentioned here. They say, oh yeah, that's fine too now. She's fully back to normal. The catch here is that she does not remember anything from the past few years, basically since she awakened to her persona, because she now, as Mitsuru says, because she transmogrified, it means she lacks the potential to have a persona, which means that she's now just doesn't have her powers anymore. Yeah, so Chidori just comes back to life, apparently, unless you don't get a baseball glove from Junpei.
Yeah, then, you just go hang out with a friend someday, and I guess she just wakes up and nothing happens. But yeah.
That's what... Okay, so I have... aside, again, those scenes with the guys are new to Reload, aren't they?
I believe so.
So is this is what I need to know, is people who played both versions, is this being a possibility new?
That's a good question, yeah.
That's crazy. That's such a wild thing to add. I'm losing it. Anyway.
Yeah. Even if it's not just on its own, it's a pretty wild thing.
Yeah.
To imply the resurrection of this character.
It's not implied. Well, it's explicit.
I just mean, like, to have that all happen and be this kind of side thing is more what I'm talking about. Of, like, it is it speaks volumes to the idea of also, like, how little, despite all this research that's gone on, that we fully understand, like, or that these characters understand what having a persona can and can't mean.
Yeah.
Because the fact that this is possible is wild.
Yeah, it's also just like, yeah, I'm getting it's just crazy. It's just like, I was expecting this to come back up during the finale, but now that I know it's fully optional, I'm like, oh, I guess this was just a thing that happened. Okay. Wow, I'm really thrown for a loop here.
I love it.
So she says that she had felt like she had just been in a dream. And Junpei says, like, better you wake up from a nightmare. And she says, well, it wasn't a nightmare. I met a kind, warm person at the end of a long tunnel and wanted to make him happy. And she remembered the room full of flowers. So the doctor is like, oh, if she's remembering things, it's sweet. She remembered Junpei in her death, and that's very nice. And then the doctor gets to the weirdest part of all of this for me, which is he says that she was always resurrecting the flowers using her powers to bring the flowers back, and would always spend more time on the ones she got from Junpei, even though Junpei says it always seemed like she was just ignoring him. So she really cared about him the whole time, which was very sweet. And then the doctor says that he put the flowers when she resurrected the flowers, they kind of stayed lively forever. And he says that for some reason, he decided to put the preserved flowers from Junpei on her chest, and I quote, after her autopsy, which just is so many questions.
What are the standards of this hospital?
Puts it on her chest, and then that night she transmogrified. So basically they say, like, oh, she absorbed her own healing energy that she had put into this flowers, and it brought her back to life. And then she says she wants to live now. She actually does want to live, and she wants to live because she has to find that person from her dream. And then Junpei cries a lot, just very big crying, lots of crying from Junpei. and says he's never been so happy in his life. And then they start to leave, and you hear Fuka and Yukari also crying behind the door outside the room, which is very, very sweet.
It's a really sweet scene, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a thing that just can just not happen, I guess.
I mean, after all of the things that this group has gone through, after losing multiple people, give them a win, even if it defies life and death, you know?
It's wild. I mean, I like it. I like it as sort of a metaphor, or not metaphor, but like a
Fantasio.
Oh God, a parallel, I would say, to, you know, they are facing literal death, and in the midst of literal death, someone comes back to life.
Yeah.
Right? Because of a power that they didn't know about, that is more powerful than death and saves this person. And it's like, that is a really sort of hopeful, interesting parallel to what they're doing in the main story. And I like it for that. But also, it is a wild choice.
It is. No, there is no denying that this is a crazy thing to have happen.
Yeah.
On so many
especially
levels.
if it's not going to come back.
If it's just for laughs, they're just having a good time.
Yeah.
I will say what also it speaks to me too, and it's kind of something I've felt before, and maybe I've said, but just also, wow, Chidori must be so damn powerful. Like, obviously she brought Junpei back to life, but the fact that her residual powers were able to revive herself is pretty crazy. Like, that is a very mechanical anime thing to have on the brain at this point, but it is cool. Like, that is a cool idea.
The thing, it's very anime, what you're talking about, of like that that side character that isn't involved a lot, but every time they do anything, they have this earth-shattering power that you're like, oh, they're gonna come up someday.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I do love it for that. The fact that it plays into that pretty well, but it's what a thing. It's a shame I didn't see it. It would have been great if this was like I studied for 2 periods. I had nothing to do instead.
Yeah. No, but I was very sad I didn't get to see Aigis, hang out with Aigis during this day. So I also did the dating site for Aigis just to make sure I was ready on that one.
Good call. I also hate to bring it to you though, I do believe you don't need to get extra points for Aigis.
Okay.
Anyway.
No, I'm just paranoid. I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah.
But also my other options were.
What else are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah. So my paranoia is fine, I think, right now.
But no, you're fine.
That's good to know generally.
While you were doing that, having this whole big day and thinking about Aigis, I made coffee with Ken. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? I figured it gives me an SP item. That's not bad. I'll take it.
The next morning, on the 22nd,
yes,
you find out that career consultation is happening next week, which made me go, oh no, is that going to take up a day I can't hang out with someone? And then you get a lecture from the math teacher discussing the odds of the end of the world happening, that you can sleep through or not. And then we have a normal day night. So what did you do?
I will say one, if I may. One, we don't really see that teacher much.
No, the one with the oh god, what's the word? It's like the square, the triangle.
Yes. Oh my god.
Protractor?
Yes, thank you. I'm like, I haven't used this since sophomore year of high school, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. Miyahara, I wrote their name down, I believe.
Yeah.
And then also I just wanted to mention in terms of career week, I don't know, obviously you had a much more dramatic day than me, but in the evening before, some of the kids were talking about career consultation already even that night. Yeah. Just in case anyone's like, oh, you could have heard about this days ago. We know. We did it. Anyway, so for that day, I spent time with Aigis for the hell of it. That's literally what I wrote down. Because I have all my social links maxed. This is, in fact, I got the trophy here, I believe. Because I had completed everything in Tartarus, so this was my last social link, max link.
Congratulations.
So I did that. But yeah, so I just hung out with Aigis for fun, and then I cooked with Yukari in the evening to get an item. Yeah.
All right.
And this was, I put my final taiyaki in the fridge.
I forgot.
Oh no.
Do you not get anything good?
I'll tell you after, but it's not like a very dramatic ending.
Okay. Yeah, I literally just forgot on this one.
I would say, honestly, at this point, I think it would have been funnier if there was nothing for you. I think like if they had done it twice early in the game, made you forget about it for a while, and then it came back here, that would have been a good button. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can tell me the next day when we pick it up.
Yeah.
I got I guess rank 4, and then I gardened.
Nice.
With Fuka.
Cool.
And then let's just move on to the 23rd.
My gardening, I planted stuff, but it won't be done until after the 31st this week.
Okay.
Which I don't know when you get there, but there's a fun little pop-up that's just like, hey, you won't be able to do these plants. So if you needed more indication that we're maybe heading to a final confrontation.
Yeah. I think mine are done on like the 29th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that works. And then, the 23rd, just a day.
Just a day. What'd you do with your just a day?
Hung
you
out
have
with
nothing to do anymore.
Yeah, I hung out with Yukari again just because I was like, I can, and she is my romance, so maybe I should think about her in the game sometimes, I guess. And then I walked Koromaru and ran into Chihiro, which obviously was very helpful to me.
Yes. Time well spent.
Yeah.
So this is where I undid some stuff.
Oh.
So I used the rewind feature 2 days from now.
Okay.
Because originally, and we can talk about this kind of out of order a little bit, originally I got Yukari to rank 10 here. And then 2 days from now, it's career consultation day, and you can't hang out with Aigis. And I'm currently at the point with Aigis where I have exactly enough calendar days to get her to 10, assuming nothing else like career consultation day or anything like the Chidori things comes up again.
Sure.
So if, and this is a big if there are no more days wasted next week, then I will get to rank 10 with Aigis on the 30th.
Here's hoping.
Here is hoping. But I'm not holding my breath at this point because so much more is coming up than I thought it would, which means like there's a lot fewer opportunities to hang out with her than I thought, if that's the case, because I skipped her like I think it would have been like 4 times or 5 times total since she was available. And if that's the cutoff, if it's like skipping her 5 times means you can't do it, that's like a close call, right?
It really,
you really have to be focusing her.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But originally I did Yukari to 10 on this day, but Aigis was already available, and Yukari is available on the career consultation day, but not Aigis. So I flipped them, and instead today I hung out with Aigis and got to rank 5.
Perfect. That's a good way to go. I understand that feeling. Yeah.
Because I don't want to just redo the whole month. That sounds miserable.
When you've just done it, that's a thing for me that is such a funny, weird thing to go over. But like, obviously I love, especially a game that I've been playing for 70 plus hours, I'm enjoying my time with it. But if I lose like 2 or 3 hours because I forget to save or because something happens, I hate it.
Yeah. It's one of the worst feelings in video games.
Yeah. It is no fault of the game. It is typically my fault.
No, to be fair, I mean, yes, you're correct. Generally speaking, it can be user error or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is one of the main reasons why I hate games that don't just let you save.
Sure. Yes. No, I get that. Yeah.
Because like I was just talking about this too when I was doing the Monad passage. You get an opportunity to leave the Monad passage and go back to the entrance between every fight, where you can then save, and then you go to the teleporter, and you go back to that floor, and you go back in the Monad passage, and it says, do you want to go back to where you were? And you say yes. And it's like, well, then why didn't you just let me save?
Yeah.
Like, why can I not just save? It just feels pointless.
No, it's funny how I was thinking about this yesterday for some random reason, but just the idea that like your individual saves on a memory card used to be such sacred, important space.
Yeah.
And now it is like, if a game isn't saving for me every -5 seconds, what is going on here?
Yeah. No, I don't mind I don't want autosaves with everything.
No, for sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, I think that there's a lot of games, a lot of RPGs especially, will just sort of make saving more obnoxious than it needs to be.
Yeah, I think it definitely is like a harkening back to the way it used to be instead of...
Yeah.
It's fine if that changes. It's okay.
Yeah, I agree. So that was the 5th. I did the... Oh my God,
the
what
23rd.
happened? 23rd. Got I Guess Drank 5. And then I originally gardened, but then got paranoid again and did the dating site for I Guess again.
So that would be on the 24th, you mean?
No, on the 23rd.
Oh, on the 23rd. I was on the wrong day. Forgive me. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you tell me what you did?
On the 23rd, I walked Koromaru and ran into
Right.
Chihiro.
Yes.
And then if I may just, what happens basically with the final Taiyaki is that there's a note basically from Fuka that she wanted to give everyone a surprise, and she gives us a Dr. and Jelly.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah. It's not anything like... It is a little bit of a unfortunate resolution to all this time so far. Again, I do think the goof would have been very good, but I get them wanting to be like, here's something nice. Congrats.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Anyway,
moving on to the 24th. This is a Sunday, which means I Guess was not available, this is the day where I went, oh no, I literally have exactly enough days with I Guess. So hopefully career consultation day doesn't screw that up. So I hung out with Hayase and got to rank 8.
Okay.
And then when you get back to the dorm, this is where you get a wall of red text from Akihiko saying, you will not be able to do anything after next week. Hey, maybe the game's about to end.
Yeah, just an extreme... It's like an extreme weather forecast popping up. Like, pay attention to this, you idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I gardened with I Guess in the evening. What about you?
Smart. I went to the arcade to up my magic. And then in the evening, after I was yelled at by Akihiko, I made coffee with Ken again, just because SP items are good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Then we get to the 25th, which is career consultation day or whatever.
Yes.
So first you get a little chat with some students in the morning saying that more people believing in the cult and turning to that side of things. Then there's a class lecture from Miss Terauchi who talks about how she's moving with her partner to India after this school year because her partner doesn't like all of the apathy syndrome incidents that are happening and wants to go back home because that's where they're from. And that's sort of just this interesting little bit of lore that is dropped on you right at the end of the game about this teacher you've barely talked to. You can fall asleep as she's thanking every student in class personally, which is very mean.
This is, I think, one of the wildest teacher moments because, I wrote that down too. I was like, could you imagine your teacher is bawling, just in devastated shambles about missing you and your classmates and is thanking you for the joy you've brought to their life, and you fall asleep and you go, up. I'm bored.
Yeah.
That's rough.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I stayed awake and listened.
I did too.
Listened to her saying thank you.
To each individual named character and no one else.
Yes. My notes just say career consultation. Oh no, because I lost the time. But you just are there with your teacher, Miss Toriumi, and answer a bunch of questions about, what are you gonna go to college or are you gonna work and stuff like that. And then she says, what's important is you already made up your mind, but what's important is that you make the decision. It's yours and it's what's right for you, because if you do something that someone else tells you to do, you'll regret it the rest of your life. Which is kind of that's nice.
Yeah.
And then she says you've matured and changed over the last year, and ask why has this happened to you? And I think I said because of my friends or something like that. But I don't think any of these choices matter specifically, right?
No, I think it's just more for flavor text sort of thing. I think there's one where you basically could be like, I don't know, it's whatever.
It's role playing.
Yes.
In a role playing game.
Yeah. I picked my friends as well because, as the great hero Sora once said, my friends are my power.
Well, okay. the real shadows were the friends we made along the... Anyway.
I mean, they were, because they were originally people. If you're talking about the Heartless when you mean shadows. I assumed you meant like the base Heartless shadow who is somewhere behind me. There he is. Anyway.
How did we get on Kingdom Hearts? What is going on?
You're talking to me. What else do you expect?
Yeah, so then she says Aigis is up next, but then, can you please send Aigis in? And I went, oh no! But then you have to go find Aigis, and the boys say, oh yeah, she's up on the roof maybe, but also, she's changed a lot. And so everyone is noticing how much change has been going on, and Aigis sort of becoming more of a human being. And you go up to talk to Aigis on the roof, and you get basically a confidant scene with her right now.
As the scene was going on, I was like, does it auto up your social link? And I just forgot about that, because this is heavier than most social links.
Yeah, and it's on theme with sort of what her social links are even about.
Yeah.
Right? Because she talks about when she fought Ryoji this time, she felt scared. She felt ashamed when she realized she couldn't beat him. And she didn't feel those things when she fought him 10 years ago, and is wondering why she has changed. And she used to just ask people questions when she didn't know the answer to something because they were simple questions. But now the questions she's asking, people can't give her answers to because they're very human questions that aren't just what is that thing or whatever. And then also realizes that, she's very self-conscious about all of this and how she's changed. And she realizes that she was originally wanted to stay by your side just because she was monitoring death inside of you. It's kind of subconsciously. But now she wants to stay by your side because she likes you. It's like fully a social link scene.
A late social link, I would say.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those ones where it feels like if you had told me there wasn't originally an Aigis friendship and this scene took the place of it, I would believe you just because of how monumental it feels. I think it's a really well done scene, but yeah, it feels like this should be the end of a social link almost.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a nice little insight into her. And then you get back to class and she's not available to hang out, so you rewind 2 days and redo everything.
You feel like a fool.
What did you do for this last day of the week?
I ended on such a high note, let me tell you. I went to the arcade to up my strength, and then I went to the arcade to up my strength.
Wow. I'm proud of you.
Mostly for the bit. There wasn't really anything else to do, or I probably could have gotten better items with my time, but I just thought it was really funny that that's all I did on this day.
I also like in universe, you went to the arcade, played an arcade game, went home, went back to the arcade and played the same game.
Yeah, not even a different game, the same game.
Yeah.
I said, this one's really fun.
It's not even a waste of time to some extent because 6 strength is a lot.
No, it ain't nothing. I have money to burn.
That's a big stat boost.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to give up this persona.
Well, you don't have much more time with it anyway.
Or do we?
So I got Yukari to max rank this day.
Nice.
Because she was available, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I'm at rank 5, did I say?
I believe so.
Rank 5. I'm at rank 5 with Aigis. And so we literally have 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. It is exact, unless I also get a day to hang out on the 31st, though I'm not holding my breath on that one. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they'll just let you do a thing during the most impactful, momentous day of the game, but other times they don't.
Yeah.
So here's hoping frickin' Shinji doesn't come back to life in the next 5 days and ruin my plans.
How dare he?
How dare he?
It would be really funny if you do get to see him. They're like, hey guys, I think Shinji is moving. And you're
nope,
like,
nope.
Sorry, I'm too busy.
Yeah, so I got Yukari to max rank, and then I did Tartarus. This was going to be, assuming nobody shows back up in the last 5 days, probably my final Tartarus run. So I did the Monad Passage. I got to the door at the end of the Monad Passage, and it said, you can't do that. I did look it up that probably we got to fight the Reaper to get through that door is what I sort of gleaned from the internet because I wanted to know. So I also did a little bit of just like, fine, let's fight the Reaper and see where we're at. And we're at level 80-ish, 80, 81.
Okay.
And that fight at that level is, I would say, possible, but not likely. I think you would have to really plan what you're using. You would have to really plan the items you're using. You'd have to really make sure your theurgies are maxed out. You'd have to get lucky a few times. Like, I think you could do it.
Yeah.
But I think it would not be an easy fight.
That lines
whereas if you just grind to level 90, it's probably pretty okay.
More manageable. Yeah. I feel like I read that 85 is a good threshold to consider for yourself. And so that makes sense where that would still be probably pretty tough, but not so unlikely. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely didn't feel, I only tried once because I just sort of don't like, I'm not getting the platinum. I know I'm not getting the platinum. And so I might as well, like, I don't need to prove anything to myself. Sure. I would love to see what's behind that last door, but I don't know. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm at peace with it.
You can look it up after. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, 80 definitely felt like maybe possible, but probably you are actively under leveled.
Yeah.
So hearing 85 as the recommendation is not a shock to me.
Cool. Good to know. Yeah. I think I finished my run at like 82-ish. So I'll have to go in and grind a little bit, but in an ideal world, I'll get to 90. In a, hey, time's ticking, I'll do an 85, but it should be fine either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Nice.
That's the week. I think that's all we got.
It is indeed. If I may, just before next week, and you can immediately tell me you feel like this is spoilers, but I feel like just to kind of set people up for what to expect in a time way. Okay.
Oh, please. Yes.
So like, obviously, as we said at the beginning of the show, and no spoilers beyond pure calendar dates here. I obviously want to preserve the experience as much as for you as possible. Want people to understand. You will play through the 31st. You will not be able to get to save the game until it is in March.
Wow. Okay.
You will get to save the game, and then actually you can do a fair bit from there. Like, I would say you could spend a couple, like an hour or hour and a half maybe, running around if you want. But all I mean to say there is, like, if you beat January 31st and you're wanting to play along and you get to March 4th, don't worry, because there will be a point where you pause. I don't know if it lets you immediately save after the 31st is over. I can't remember.
Nope. If you're playing on PlayStation, you have to suspend the console
until March 4th
for a month. No, yeah, I'm going to be doing, I assumed there was going to be some amount of unskippable whatever, and I'm just going to be playing until I can save, and we will talk about, whatever is relevant next week. But don't, it's silly to try to play this part of the game in a way that is just not possible.
Yes, we came up to this with P5. It's just the reality of how this show is very ridiculous when planned out against a game and its intentions. So,
yes. Yeah. Great. Thank you for the heads up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's finish up with a pop quiz.
Hit me.
I mentioned earlier, in a scene that Jonathan did not see.
I'm going to do so well.
That the doctor said her illness was gone, alongside being fully resurrected after a literal autopsy. Just think about that. He probably cut her open. And then she came back.
Yeah, the flowers healed her, man.
Wild. Like, there was this hint in my head of, like, maybe she was just gravely wounded.
Sure.
Or in a coma. He did an autopsy. Anyway. What was her illness? That's the question. There's, to be clear, not a specific named disease here.
It gets really specific.
It does get weirdly specific, but
Okay.
it's not a named disease. So the question is, why was Chidori going to die in 2 years? Because the doctor says she's not going to die in 2 years anymore, which is, in my eyes, the only, my memory, the only time that anybody's mentioned that she was going to die in 2 years, which adds context to the Junpei thing of like why she asked him where he was gonna be in 2 years. Like that, it makes a lot more stuff make sense with her. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw all of that. But yeah, the pop quiz question, in some sense, what does he say was wrong with her that is no longer wrong with her?
I already have my fake answer locked and loaded for next week.
It's not lupus.
Okay, that was my first choice, but I do have a second goof choice. But very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let us know. Patreon.com/takeyourtime in the comments. YouTube.com/Dornology. Dornology@gmail.com. I'm at Tom R. Marks on socials. He's at JM Dornbush. You can let us know in any of these places. We would love to hear from you. And if you're liking the show, share it around. Do all that. Have some goodness. Spread it. Spread some love. All of that stuff. And yeah, Jonathan, unless you have anything else to finish off.
I have been holding in a burp for like 20 minutes that I have been trying to stifle. And it has been so difficult every time I take a breath of like, is this going to be the one? Is this when it happens? So that's where I'm at.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
I hope you're all doing well out there. I really do.
We'll be back next week for not the final episode. We're going to have a whole another month of episodes after this 31st one, but the finale of the game, very likely. As far as I know, this could all be just like the greatest misdirect I've ever seen, but we shall see.
Get ready to
and until then,
New Game Plus it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, we shall annihilate her.
The glee that you have.